welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast, the How About Them Pod Boys. Your host, Austin Guerrero, with you. Alongside me is Co. Back to preview another week in the NFL. We've had glorious 2 weeks so far into this season, so looking forward to week 3 kicking off here tonight with the Buffalo Bills, who have been dominant up to this point, playing a lackluster team in the Miami Dolphins. Co, give some of our listeners some insight on what to expect for tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, happy Thirsty Thursday. If you're watching on YouTube, I'm repping Corona Extra, baby. Just to get into it, Bills Dolphins, I think we both think this is going to be just a game where the Bills just control it, and that's from the get-go. And I think it's going to be, I think they throw a 40 bomb on them. I think it's going to be like a 42-10 type of game. I think this is one where the third quarter comes around and Allen and all the starters are pulled, and Reek and Tua are on the sideline fighting. So I don't really expect much out of this game. I guess my question is it's 11.5. Are you taking that with the Dolphins, or are you going to let that go?
Surprisingly, I'm going to give the 11.5. I think that the Bills at this point, everyone's expecting a rout. I expect a rout, but it's one of those weird Thursday night, short week games. I think Josh Allen plays well. I don't think that's the issue. I just think it's one of those slowly developed games. I think the Dolphins need a get-back game, at least to show they're competent to compete with somebody. However, I bet they're wishing this isn't the somebody they'd have to compete with, as Buffalo's obviously run that division for several years now. Tua's looked lackluster. McDaniels, he's looked poor on the sideline. Tyreek's getting upset. He's missing, not getting a lot of, deep down the field throws that he's known for throughout his career. Jalen Waddle's had a few hit or miss, plays for him, but otherwise he's been pretty poor. But I do think that they struggle again tonight. I think they come out on the short end of the stick, but I think they keep it within 11.5.
Yeah, no, I guess I could see where you're coming from. This could be a game where Reek beats the defense a couple times, and they throw that deep ball and they kind of stay within range. This is the NFL. 11.5 is a lot of points when you think about it. I mean, so we'll see what happens there, I guess. I guess I'm looking forward to see Allen, kind of just having the mindset of like same stuff, different day. And you can't look down on anyone. And like we said last week, it was kind of a trap game for us, and this could be a trap game for the Bills.
No, 100%. And I think Josh Allen, might be looking ahead. It's hard not to when you're that much more dominant than the opponent. Dolphins are going to have all out, you know what I mean? They're going to empty their tank tonight, because if they go to 0-3, you're definitely writing the season off. Like, you're not making the playoffs. You're not getting in even as a chance as a wild card, because the AFC is starting to get pretty stacked. There's several teams from each division that are hunting to get into the playoffs, feel good about their positioning, where they can get to, where I think Miami's, looking at the 4th place spot in the AFC East. So they're going to come out guns blazing. This is their last ditch effort. Albeit I think it's not enough. I think Josh Allen controls it. I think that they get their passing game going. I think he probably even gets in with a couple scores using his legs tonight. And like you said, at the end of the day, you could see it going, where they're pulling starters in the third quarter. So again, not a lot to talk about for this game. Not a super exciting Thursday night matchup. But what I will turn it over to, let's turn it over to our betting guru, with one of our favorite segments is going to be the hashtag Co Knows. So Co, I'll turn it over to you. What are you looking at for maybe first touchdown of the night, or what's your best betting inside here you have for this game?
Yeah, absolutely. My first touchdown score for this week is going to be another plus 1100 banger. Some guy that is really due tonight, and that's going to be Khalil Shakir. I got him at plus 1100, first TD score. And I've got the Buffalo Bills money line and Josh Allen 200 yards. That is at plus 1376. If you too risky for the first touchdown score, Shakur is anytime touchdown score. I think is the best prop for tonight.
I love that one. He has, a little bit of a slower start for him this season. Last year put up big numbers in that offense. You're on a hot streak. So, I mean, I'm not.
Hopefully we can feed the community again, baby. Come on.
Another one, hashtag Co for the community. Right?
Come on, baby.
Put it out there. He's looking out for all of us bettors. But yeah, I think we continue to ride the high, hopefully, knock on wood, and you make a profit for all of us out there. So, listeners, again, uh, Shakur, first touchdown of the game. If you're not feeling that, like Co said, make sure you put him anytime touchdown, and you can add legs as you feel necessary. So, um,
Absolutely, baby.
yeah, we're feeling good about that. So we'll wrap up the Thursday night talk. Let's get into why people are here, why our listeners are here. They want to talk Dallas Cowboys. They want to talk America's team. I mean, this is the best place to hear about them, right? On the How About Them Pod Boys show. We do appreciate all the love and support so far. Continue to comment on our videos, please, and ask us questions. Right? We love seeing some of the support so far and some of the comments and questions. Heading into week 3 is a big week for our Cowboys, right? We just talked about last week. They battled back to 1-1, back to 500 through 2 weeks with a super exciting win over the New York Giants at our place. And now we travel to Soldier Field and take on the Chicago Bears. First initial thoughts. I know we're days away from it, but it'll creep up on us. And what are you expecting from that game briefly with the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, I mean, this is one where we got to go in really uh, fix our mistakes, really lock in. I think the defense needs to collectively come as a whole and really be sound. Because if they do their job, I think offensively we are pretty stunning to me. I think Dak has played out lights out, and I think defense can come prepared. I know Eberflus is going back home. This has got to be a little personal one. And then with the signing of Jadeveon Clowney, I feel like if he can get some snaps and some pressures, that's just going to alter the game as a whole. So defensively, we need to be sound. We need to be poised, be locked in, really communicating on the secondary side. And if we can get some pressures on the D line on that front, some pressures on Williams, I feel like it could alter whether or not we come out with a W.
Yeah, and we didn't get a chance last week to touch base on the Jadeveon Clowney signing, and that's going to be huge for us, right? He's another edge rusher. You could also mix him in at this stage of his career, interior lineman if needed. I think he's just another great body for us to rotate in and out. He's probably not going to play a lot of plays, especially to start getting new into the scheme. But I think down the road for sure he helps us, and I hope he helps us, in game one with our franchise. So excited to see that addition to the team. Um, what I'm excited for is hopefully Javonte Williams continues his stellar performance for us through 2 games and makes it 3 games. If you were to tell me he was going to make this immediate impact, I would have probably called this crazy. I would love to see it, and I've loved to see it up to this point. But him getting in the end zone both weeks, and dominating, you could say dominating at portions of both games for us is just a blessing for us and for our franchise and for the Cowboys to continue to have success. I think it starts on the ground, and then what our MVP candidate is capable of, right? Under center, Dak will take over when needed. And I think that's no different in this game at Chicago. I think he's obviously the better quarterback of the two. Him and Caleb Williams are on no comparison level. And I think Dak shows up and shows out when he needs to. Last week I kind of hinted at a low scoring game. I do think it's still going to be low scoring. And I think that's to your point of defense, finding their legs, finding their rhythm, having better communication, and better just in their scheme overall. And I think, to touch on what you said as well, with Eberflus coming back to Chicago, we talked about, and I've been hard on him, right? I've been kind of grilling the guy about he's a failure and he was a failure for Chicago, and now he's failing at his duty of DC. I think he, is a little fired up for this one, wants to show them, hey, I'm coming back. This is what our defense is capable of doing. He's going to put them in good spots, and I think we keep them low scoring. And I think Dak hits a either game-winning drive or just does enough to, solidify our win over the Chicago Bears.
Right. And maybe we do need to give the benefit of the doubt, right? Maybe we're just high alert and really jumping the gun on this one. I know I saw a comment in one of our socials that a Bears fan commented saying, "Don't be worried about Eberflus. He's a really defensive minded guy, and this could be one that just got away from him." So I'm hoping, with experience from them, the Bears fan community. That guy can't speak for the whole community, but if he's telling us like, "Hey, like let's ride the wave for a little bit and see what happens," and it gives you a little, sense of securement on that point. But we'll see. This is a really huge week, and if the Chicago Bears drop another 35 plus points on us, then something's got to change like dramatically.
No, 100%. And I think that's the key number. I'd like to see this game stay under 20. for the Chicago Bears, right? I would love for us to go over 40 again. you know, just a high excitement game. It's awesome to watch fireworks and our offense perform like they did last week when needed. But we should have no problem if we're the defense we want to be to hold Chicago to 20 or less. I think that 20 number gives us a good chance to win. And like you said, just reading comments, it kind of gave me a sense of relaxation, like you said, or securement to understand maybe we are kind of hammering on Eberflus. We got to give him a couple more chances, a couple more weeks here. This isn't a high flying juggernaut offense. So if we can't really slow down the Chicago Bears, and like you said, we see a 40 piece put up, then it's time to start hitting the panic button on huge changes that need to happen defensively.
Right. Um, I guess if you want to, yeah, I mean, this is a good preview, but we're running a little short on time today. It's gonna be a little shorter episode. But do you just want to give me your player of the game on offense and defense, and then I can give you mine, and then we can roll into the Sunday's games.
Yeah, 100%. So, my player of the game offensively is going to be to Javonte Williams again. Uh, I've been giving it to Dak. I've been giving it to other guys on our team. But Javonte has obviously showed up for 2 weeks straight. I think he sets the tone for the game. But I'm also going to give another co-offensive MVP to just our interior linemen, right? I'm going to talk about we lost Cooper Beebe to injury,
Yeah, it's gonna be
unfortunately.
rough.
And at the center position, those guys, those are the main communicators for the offensive line. They have to pick up pass pros and talk and communicate that with everybody on the offensive line of how to correctly handle those situations. So, um, I'm eager to see how we play that out, right? Because especially as a backup in these positions, you don't get a ton of reps. You're really not expecting to get in, as early as you are. So, need our backup center to step up. And just need our offensive line to communicate well. So that's my co-MVP is the offensive line as well.
Awesome. Yeah. Shout out Brock Hoffman. The guy brings some tenacity and some juice to the team, and I've seen it in the years. He's been a backup center, but he's came in at guard whenever we needed someone go down. So I feel like Brock Hoffman is ready. He's ready for the moment. He's gonna really think do his best. I mean, Cooper Beebe is a great center. I think he's top five in the league. And losing him for 6 to 8 weeks is going to be tough, but now we have to adjust. And I think Dak is going to give him all the confidence he needs in the world. And I think Hoffman's going to step up too. That's big. My offensive player, key to the game is going to be CeeDee Lamb. I think he needs to keep rolling. I saw their secondary is a little beat up. They got Jalen Johnson out, so I think CD needs to roll over from his weeks that he's had previously and continue just to be in stride. Him and Dak have been playing great together, so I think CD offensively is my key player of the game, and defensively, I'm going to go with Kenny Clark. I think if we stop the run, I know Swift is pretty agile, finesser, and they don't really want to go through the tackles. So if Kenny Clark can really bust that with Osa, and if Clowney gets in there, Solomon Thomas, I think the interior D line needs to step up, stop the run, and really force them to play behind and throw some chances. And hopefully the secondary, like we said, is more sound, and we can get a few interceptions, turnovers from that perspective.
100%. I think it starts with the interior linemen, like you talked about, and you shouted out, several of our studs that have been playing well for us through 2 games on the interior D line. Like you said, D Swift, he's shifty, he's quick, he's a guy that kind of likes to run outside the tackles, get outside. So I'm going to kind of also go off that point and say our DNs, just our guys that got to hold the edge for us are going to be pivotal in this game, because if they're struggling to get up the middle, run between the tackles, well, they're going to look to go outside, where Swift is a little bit, more special with the ball in his hands. But like you said, if we dictate and stop the run to start the game, I think we have no issue. Force Caleb Williams in 3rd and longs. That's where we can kind of tee off as our pass rush. With our new guys with Clowney, and also just mixing in Thomas and all those guys. And I think maybe we even get a couple interceptions that kind of helps turn the tide for us defensively. So super excited about this game. I think it's a game that we're going to have, low scoring like I was talking about earlier, but I think we come out with the win and we're feeling good heading into the huge matchup in week 4.
Right. Absolutely.
So why don't we close this one down here real quick? I'll just get a quick piece from you. Is there a game you're looking forward to Sunday around the NFL? My one that's really intriguing me is a 2-0 matchup between the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly versus the LA Rams.
Yeah.
Going back to last season, in the postseason, the Rams were, the one team that had a chance to beat Philly at Philly, right? Everybody forgets Matthew Stafford, a seasoned vet, a stud, has a cannon like no other as a quarterback. He gets his chance for redemption going back to the same place they lost in a snowy battle. It'll be a little, obviously, better conditions this time, but I think that the Rams go and shock some people, and I think, Stafford has a good day in the air with his new weapons, obviously with Devontae Adams joining the team. That helps, another weapon for them. But I think that they do a good job. I think they head into Philly and give Philly a loss that we need as a Cowboys fan.
Yeah, that's an intriguing game. For me, it's going to be the battle of the backups, and I'm going to go to Minnesota with this one. It's going to be Jake Browning versus Carson Wentz, a guy that hasn't really played in a very long time with McCarthy out and Burrow out for 3 months. I think Browning has solidified himself as a number two QB, but a solid one. And I think he goes into Minnesota and really takes care of the business. Or we could see, a Carson Wentz that we saw in 2018 led him to the Super Bowl before tearing his ACL. That's one you could look out for too. That's a noon game. But I mean, I'm just excited for our matchup, and I hope we take care of business in Soldier Field.
Yeah, 100%. That's the best game of the week. Every week it is, all year long, baby. America's team. If you see them on TV, you don't want to miss it. The best team to listen to, or best team to watch, I should say, and we're the best podcast to listen to for all things Dallas Cowboys. Continue to plug us on socials. Put out questions if you want us to answer on here. Again, we continue to love the support you guys have given us so far. Continue to, shout us out on TikTok, Instagram. Watch our full podcast episodes on YouTube or listen to the audio on Spotify. So thanks for joining us. Until next time, it's How About Them Pod Boys.